Welcome to today's class. Before we do begin, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mauro, a yoga teacher from Mexico, but really here and there, everywhere and nowhere. I'd like to mention a couple things before we begin. One of them, the two main things, as far as I can see, in an asana practice are to be able to keep the spine very long, very supported, and on the other hand, to maintain a nice, deep, slow breath. These two things are really two different ways of looking at the same thing, and they both impact the state of our mind. So, beyond any particular shape an asana suggests, these are the really two key factors to keep track on. Every time we perform an asana, we are really reinventing it. So let's approach it from that perspective without trying to imitate or emulate or place the body in any particular shape, but to find rather different sensations and making sure we're present to experience them. Let's begin with Balasana. So we keep the pelvis grounded onto the heels. We inhale, stretching the sternum up away from the pubic bone, and we maintain the length through the front of the torso as we stretch forward rather than down, till eventually we let the weight of the torso relax in the thighs. Make sure the head's completely relaxed, as well as the pelvis. So as these two weights pull down and away from each other, they gap the spine. We want to create space between each two vertebrae so the nerve impulses travel freely from and back to the brain, to and from every part of the body. With an inhalation, extend your hands to the front. Let the shoulders fall away from each other. Press your thumbs down and stretch your shoulder blades back towards your hips. And let's gradually shift the weight from the legs onto the arms, sliding forward close to the ground, making sure the back of the neck stays stretched. We allow the breastbone to sink down towards the floor. It's not necessary to place the chin down. The forehead can also rest on the ground. It's not necessary to place the chest bone on the floor. It's important though that the back of the neck is long and the shoulders completely relaxed, and to find a combination where we don't use the muscles but the bones to support the weight of the body. Let's extend the torso up, the pelvis forward and down, till we come to the cobra pose. To protect the lower back, we keep the abdomen engaged, pulling the belly button inwards and upwards. Pressing into the hands, each of the fingers and especially the thumbs, we roll the shoulders out away from each other, the shoulder blades towards the hips so the chest remains open, and we keep the breath very long, very deep. Coming into the cobra a second time, you can make it more intense by placing your hands further back or softer if you walk them forward. Keep the back of the neck relaxed. Even if you do look up, make it from the center of the chest, not with the eyes, not with the head. So don't crunch the back of your neck. Placing the hands right underneath the shoulders, having the knees right underneath the hip sockets. Again, the weight is on the bones rather than the muscles. We take an arm under the torso and we relax that side of the head, pressing into the base arm, lifting the other arm up, the breastbone reaching up, the shoulder blades pulling back towards the hips. We revolve the body around the spine, and if it's comfortable, the arm that's looking up goes around to the opposite thigh, intensifying the movement the rotating movement by pulling from that thigh. We relax the weight of the torso then onto the lower arm, allowing the weight of the torso to open the shoulder. The weight of the pelvis is right over the knees. Don't let your pelvis shift back or move to the front. Allow the neck to be long, the body to be soft, and with an in-breath, come out of the pose back to all fours, and with an exhalation, repeat the same on the other side. Press the outside of the arm on the ground and reach up with the other one. Make sure the weight of the head is completely relaxed, the neck is soft, and the center of the chest is moving upwards. Establish a connection from the center of the heart right up to the highest point above you. With an exhalation, let's relax the weight of the torso onto the base arm, making sure the neck remains soft and the head supported, maybe onto the chin, maybe onto the forehead. Shoulders at the same height. For the next posture, we bring the pelvis down, and we can keep one arm extended to the front, or if it's comfortable, we take both hands away from each other, the elbows and backs of the hands pointing down. And again, we find a way to relax the weight of the head, maybe onto the chin, maybe onto the forehead, maybe using a book or a block underneath the forehead. The important thing is the body is fully relaxed, allowing the shoulder blades to move away from each other and opening the connective tissue around the shoulder joints. Maintain a deep, soft breath. Next posture is Shalabhasana, back extension. Have your big toes point towards each other so the legs rotate inward, and that helps to activate the abdomen to protect the lower back. So with each exhalation, pull the navel in, reach back with your hands interlacing the fingers, and extend your chest bone away from them. Keep the shoulders down and keep your breath soft. Don't hold the breath. Release with an exhalation. And pushing the hands down, we'll lift the body up, back on all fours. Another back extension, so activate your abdomen with an out breath, pulling the belly in. Inhale and extend one heel and the opposite hand away from each other. Think not so much up, but straight forward and back, away one from the other. The back foot should be pointing straight down on one long line between the heel and the crown of the head. If it's comfortable enough, reach back and grab hold of your ankle. It doesn't matter if you're actually holding it, you can just keep reaching towards it. If you do have a grip on it, pull your heel up and back so it opens the chest. Same on the other side, inhaling the heel and the hand away from each other, and exhaling, reach back with the hand towards the foot. If comfortable enough, hold the ankle and make sure it's the leg extending that opens the chest. So the leg is really holding the weight of the whole body. Hold for a few breaths. The breath remains soft, and with an exhalation, let go. Let's move on to Virabhadrasana. We can do this posture one leg at a time, or if it's comfortable, you can do both legs at the same time. So, one heel extending to the front and sitting on the inside of the other heel, both sit bones on the ground. Walk your hands back. As you push the hands down, the chest remains open. And if it's comfortable enough, you can go to the elbows. Keep your shoulders moving down, the chest bone reaching up. And only if it's very comfortable, you can go all the way down onto the shoulders. Whatever position you're in, whatever variation you take, make sure the lower back is moving towards the ground. So each out breath allows your belly to sink in. When you do come up, make sure to use your arms as support. Switch to the other side. If you're doing the two-leg version, make sure your big toes are pointing towards each other and try to keep your knees close by. In either version, have the tailbone reaching towards front, towards your knees, the lower back relaxing down, and if it's comfortable enough, you can reach overhead with both arms, grabbing with each hand the opposite elbow. Breathe calmly. To come out, make sure you use your arms to support your torso as to minimize the tension on the muscles of the back. Extend one leg forward, stepping between the hands. Press your fingertips down. Roll your shoulders back using the pressure from the fingertips so the chest remains open, making sure the knee is right above the ankle. Extend the front knee forward and pull the opposite heel back away from it. Create a line of tension between the heel and the knee that supports the weight of the body. Bring your torso up, pressing the hands onto the thigh. And let's make sure the abdomen's working so the navel is being pulled in, the lower back stays long then. There's an option to extend the hands up. You can keep them on your thigh as well. If it doesn't create tension in the shoulders, the hands can come together. With an exhalation, we create a long line between the back heel and the fingertips. The torso is not resting on the thigh, held by its own muscles. Open the front foot so there's space for the torso to relax inside of that leg. You can stay on your hands walking forward, but if it's uncomfortable, you can place the elbows down. You can place the back knee on the ground, and you can also relax the head all the way to the floor. Allow your pelvis to relax, to move towards the front heel. And with an inhalation, walk the hand back, knees together, and onto the other side. Use the breath to support your movement. So as you inhale, push against the ground, opening the chest. Reach back through the back heel as you exhale, and bring your torso up with an inhalation. Shoulders down. Same variation with the arms as on the other side. Doesn't matter really what variation of the arms we do, as long as the chest is open and the shoulders relax, we're doing the work. Keep engaging the abdomen every time you exhale, pulling in the navel, and exhaling, reaching forward into a diagonal line, 45-degree line, very long line between the heel and the fingertips. Hands on the ground, the front foot opens again, and either walking the hands forward or resting on the elbows. Make sure you're comfortable with the version you're doing so there's no tension around the hips. The main point is to keep all the muscles around the hips fully relaxed, allowing the pelvis to sink down. Knees together. Take an exhalation to relax. And then shift the weight to the front, onto the arms, heels back, heels all the way back, and the center of the chest forward to create a long line through the body. Abdomen engaged so the organs are contained, And then we exhale, bending at the elbows, keeping the shoulders away from the ground. With an inhalation, push through your fingertips, shoulders back and down into the cobra pose. And exhale, taking the pelvis back towards the heels. With an in-breath, come back forward to the plank. Let's repeat the same thing. You can keep your knees off the ground, you can take them to the floor as you prefer, but make sure the chest remains open. And one more time. Sternum forward, heels back. On an exhale, elbows bend 90 degrees, shoulders away from the floor, circle back and down through the shoulders, and this time we go all the way back to downward facing dog. Push firmly with your hands forward and down, extending the hips in the opposite direction. Create two long lines between each hand and the opposite sit bone. Bend your knees one at a time, allowing the weight to sink. Once you've done both sides, it should be easier to extend both legs simultaneously. Tailbone moving up, heels moving down. With an in-breath, one heel goes back, straight back in the same line as the spine. If it's comfortable enough, if you feel stable, you can bring the opposite hand just a little bit off the ground, trying to keep the shoulders at the same height. As you next inhale, bring your heel even higher, turn the pelvis and open the leg. Exhale and let the heel fall towards the buttock, and keep exhaling as you bring your knee towards the forehead, using the abdomen to do that so the shoulders remain relaxed. Each exhalation, the forehead a little bit closer to the knee. Release your foot back to the ground. One full breath in Adho Mukha Svanasana, and let's get ready to do the same thing on the other side. So an inhalation brings the other foot to the back, the heel extending back, pulling the pelvis back with it. If you feel stable, opposite hand just a bit off the floor. It's not important to bring the hand off the ground. Another in-breath, opening the pelvis, taking the heel as high up as it'll go. And an exhalation, let the heel fall towards the buttock, and the knee goes all the way to the front, towards the chest, towards the forehead. Feel the activation of the abdominal wall as you curve your spine. Keep your shoulder blades pulling back and the chest bone moving forward. Relax both feet on the ground. Adho Mukha Svanasana once again. The breastbone reaching to the front towards the imaginary point between the thumbs. And with an out breath, reach one hand to the opposite ankle, either taking hold of the ankle or the back of the hand presses against the floor near it. Chest bone looking up. Inhale back to the front, and exhale doing the same thing on the other side, either grabbing hold of the ankle or pushing that hand into the ground to turn the spine around its own axis. Sit bones are the same height, same weight on both feet. Inhale, extend back to the front. And as you exhale, bend your knees, looking between your hands, and inhale, stepping forward. Typically the first couple times, you can also jump if you like. Inhaling, stretch your spine, and as you exhale, release the weight of your torso, arms and head. Let the weight of the torso hang completely onto the thighs. Feel free to microflex your knees if you need to, soften them if you like. So it's more important to relax the torso completely than to have the legs fully straight. Head fully relaxed, the neck relaxed, and keep your spine rounded as you bend your knees more and roll up one vertebra at a time, so the last thing to come up will be the head. Inhaling, the arms go up, shoulder blades go down. Interlace your fingers, pulling back through the thumbs, up through the indexes. Feet parallel to each other. Abdominal wall active. Pull up as you move the weight forward onto the toes. And with an exhalation, let the heels move back down. Keep stretching up as you go to one side. Keep the back of the body more compact and the front of the body longer. Have the chest moving up. Keep the shoulders away from your neck. Inhale to the center and on to the other side. Make sure the pelvis doesn't move, it doesn't shift, so there's equal weight on both feet. Hands looking one into the other, the neck long, and inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, hands in front of the chest in Anjali Mudra. Slight pressure between the hands, keeping the shoulders apart, using the pressure to keep the shoulder blades down as well. Deep breath, abdomen active, breathing up into the rib cage, toes pushing down, feet active, stretching up through the crown of the head. And let's inhale, reaching up through the hands pull away from each other, chest all the way forward before it goes down, relaxing completely head and arms. Inhale, extend through your spine. Let's, with an exhalation, step the feet behind. You can jump if you like, but typically the first couple times it's better to step to get the body ready. Exhale into Chaturanga and inhale either into the Cobra or Up Dog, and exhale into Downward Facing Dog. Make sure for the Surya Namaskar, you synchronize the movement with the breath so they support each other. Make your spine very long as you possibly can. Exhaling, bend your knees and use the in-breath to reach forward through the feet forward towards the hands, lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, relax the torso, relax the head, neck long. Inhale, hands away from each other, chest forward before it goes up. Look up to your thumbs, and as you exhale, release. Back to Anjali Mudra. Inhale again, reaching up, and cycle through one more Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar is known to be the basis, the essence of asana practice. So if you sometimes don't have time to go to a class, if you can take just 15 to 20 minutes of doing Surya Namaskar A, that should be enough to keep the body healthy, the organs toned, the body open. So it's very simple thing it's available, you can do for yourself. Again, inhale, reaching out through the hands. Exhale, out with the hands forward and down through the chest. Inhale, extend your chest bone forward, and as you exhale, you can jump back. You can keep stepping as you like. Keep the chest open as you bend your arms in Chaturanga. Keep the shoulders relaxed as you move through Up Dog as well, and all the way back to Downward Dog. Make sure to press your thumbs to keep your shoulders apart and away from the neck. Should be a lot of space around the neck. Exhaling, bend your knees, look between the hands and inhale, jumping or stepping forward. Keep inhaling as you lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, release. Inhale forward through the chest, out through the hands, shoulder blades down as the hands reach up, and exhale back to Samasthiti. Cycle through one more Surya Namaskar in your own time, making sure your movement follows your breath. As you practice more and more, you will be jumping more and more lightly. So if you want to experiment with the jumping, take your attention to the hips and try to lift yourself up from the hips. So don't jump with the legs, but use your legs to lift the pelvis. Use the abdominal wall and the breath as well. One more time. Take your attention to the hips. If you want to jump up, allow them to suspend, even if for a second. Use your in-breath to do just that. There's no need to rush. A lot of things in yoga, just like in life, they come naturally. So there's no point in reaching or seeking out too hard for them. Jumping the feet apart, making sure they're parallel. Fold yourself halfway first so your torso is parallel to the floor. Take a deep in breath to lengthen the spine more. And with an exhale, use your arms to pull your abdomen towards the thighs. If it's easy enough, grab hold of your big toes. Otherwise, taking hold of the ankles or the shins will do. We're using the arms to deepen the posture, but do keep in mind it's mostly about using the out breath to relax the backs of the legs and to keep the head and torso fully relaxed. Another variation, the feet together and the arms wrap around the legs. Same posture essentially. Again, the arms are just there to support the posture, so feel free to modify them. Make sure the neck is soft, the head's just hanging, and feel free to even soften the knees if you feel a lot of tension on the back of the legs. With an in-breath, bend your knees, push them against each other, and keep your shoulders down as you reach up towards your hands from the breastbone. Keep the back of the neck long. You may want to bring your hands together, but if you do so, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. If you feel they're tense, keep your hands shoulder width apart. If you feel the neck is tense, you may look down instead of looking to your thumbs. With an exhale, take one elbow over the opposite thigh, press your hands into each other, and keep your pelvis down as you extend your chest bone up. Again, on an out breath, switch to the other side. Keep reaching down through the sit bones, through the tailbone, and keep pushing up through the center of your chest. Exhale and release. Relax the head, and keeping your big toes together, bend your knees, jump back or step back if you wish, shoulders rotate back and down, up dog, and then exhale into down dog. An inhale brings one leg all the way up, and an out breath brings that leg all the way forward. Step between the hands as you place the back heel on the ground, and extend your arms up into Virabhadrasana 1. Front knee right over the ankle, abdomen in, the back foot pushing firmly against the floor as well, shoulders relaxed, and with an exhalation, take Warrior 2. Hands forward and back, same height. Make sure your belly stays in. Don't let your spine arch like mine. Back to Warrior 1, pelvis facing forward. And exhaling, Warrior 2. And reach to the front through the front hand, extend the front leg, and fold over to Trikonasana. Chest bone to the front, tailbone back away from it, and with an exhalation, bend your front leg. You can place your elbow into that thigh, the other arm either standing up or you can reach forwards with it. The base arm, you can take the hand on the ground if you find enough support. Press your shoulder out against the inside of that front leg so the hip stays open. Keep the navel in, the shoulder blades pulling back as the hand reaches forward or up. If forward makes your shoulders tense. Inhaling, back to Virabhadrasana 2, and then with an out breath, shift the weight all the way to the front leg. Ardha Chandrasana. You can look down, you can look to the side, or gradually extend your eyes all the way up. The floating leg extending straight back, not up. And exhale, stepping back, feet together and cycle through a vinyasa. Keep your shoulders relaxed both when you bend your arms in Chaturanga and when you reach up in Up Dog. Shoulders away from each other and away from the neck in Down Dog. One full breath and inhale onto the other side. Open that hip, and as you exhale, heel to the buttock and knee to the chest, foot between the hands, back heel on the ground. Inhale in Virabhadrasana 1. Front knee 90 degrees, pelvis same height as the knee. Belly in, back foot, the outside of the back foot pressing firmly into the ground. Virabhadrasana 2, turn the pelvis to the side. Abdomen in so the lower back's flat. Hands as far from each other as possible, and then as you inhale, reach up, back to Virabhadrasana 1. Shoulder blades down. You can look forward, you can look to the hands. Exhale Virabhadrasana 2. And extending the front leg, reach forward first before you take the hand down. Same variation as on the other side. Not important what the arms are doing. Focus on what's happening along your spine. Tailbone back, belly in. Shoulder blades towards the hips, crown of the head forward. Very long spine, very long breath. Feel like you're held between two walls, the body very flat. With an out breath to the angle pose. Same variation as on the other side. Make sure you have good support under your front arm. Bend your leg 90 degrees, hip open. Establish a very long line between the back heel and the crown of the head. Abdomen in, chest bone forward. Inhaling back to Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, and exhaling Ardha Chandrasana. The base hand is not directly in front of the foot, but a little bit off to the side, so you have a diagonal line of support. The floating leg extending back, the chest bone forward and up. Keep a soft breath. Keep your gaze steady on one point, and as you exhale, release. Hands on the ground, step back. Long spine, downward dog. Shoulder blades back, chest bone forward. Exhale, bend your knees and inhale back forward. Lengthen your spine on the same in-breath, and as you exhale, release. Inhaling all the way up, bending the knees. Thunderbolt pose, exhale, Samastitihi. Big toes touching. Inhale, taking the pelvis down, tailbone down, chest bone up, and exhaling, release. Inhale, extending all the way forward through the chest, and either jump or step back. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog. With an inhale, raise one leg, and with an out breath, extend it all the way to the chest and forward. Back knee on the ground. Extend the opposite arm up and over the front leg. You can press your hands into each other, keeping the torso off the front leg so it's not resting on it. Use the pressure between the hands to extend the chest bone up. If it's comfortable enough, you can bring the back knee off the ground, or you can extend one hand up and one hand down. Two variations, same posture, same effect. Excellent, release. And let's continue to Purvottanasana. Maintain your hips even, sit bones on the same height, and relax your torso over the front leg. Each inhalation, the breastbone reaching further down and forward towards the knee, towards the big toe. If it's easy enough, you can reach back towards the back foot with your hands. If it's uncomfortable, you can place your hands over a couple blocks. Let's now turn to Parivrita Trikonasana. You can place a block underneath the base hand. You can place it inside of the foot. The more advanced version is to place it outside of the foot. Other hand away from the base one. Sit bones at the same height. Excellent release. Back to downward dog. Couple of full breaths, lengthening through the spine, relaxing the breath. And inhaling, raising the heel all the way up. And exhaling, stepping through. Back knee on the ground, inhale, opposite arm up. And as you exhale, bring not only the arm but the whole torso over the front leg. Slowly, gradually moving to the same variation you've done on the other side. Establish a long line connecting the back heel through the crown of the head. Chest bone forward. Keep a long breath. And exhaling, release. Bring your feet slightly closer to each other so the seat bones can be at the same level, at the same distance from the front of the mat. And once again, Purvottanasana. Chest bone reaching away from the pelvis. Shoulder blades reaching towards the hips. The neck relaxed. The breath soft. Parivrita Trikonasana. Make sure you have good support under your base hand. Use a block otherwise. It's important you can press down firmly into that hand so the torso rotates, the chest goes all the way up. Excellent release and back to downward dog. Extend the crown of the head to the imaginary point between your thumbs and the tailbone away from it. Visualize your spine. Bend your knees as you exhale and inhale, jumping or stepping forward. Lengthen your spine through the same in-breath and exhale as you release. Big toes together, knees bent, thunderbolt pose, tailbone down, chest bone up, and as you exhale, release. Samastitihi. Inhaling, thunderbolt again, shoulders relax, and exhale, release. Torso down to the thighs in Uttanasana. Inhale, extend the spine, and exhaling, jumping back. So you can begin to link the Surya Namaskar with the handstand by using the abdominal wall to lift the pelvis. Doesn't matter if it goes right up above the shoulders, so that you gradually play with the sensation of lifting. Take a few breaths in downward facing dog before raising one leg and stepping that foot through the hands. And let's turn both feet to one side, lengthening the spine first before releasing it down, making the pelvis move and turn forward. We keep the weight of the pelvis over the front of the feet so the toes are active, so the back of the legs lengthen more. If your head touches the ground, bring your feet a little bit closer. You can press your hands directly on the floor between the feet, or you can reach back beyond them. With an exhalation, bend one leg, keeping that heel on the ground. The other foot's looking up, heel down, and then relax the weight of your torso over your arms. If it's comfortable, over the elbows. Otherwise, you can use a block or you can keep the weight onto the palms. Inhale and extend your hands back forward, back to downward facing dog. And let's continue on to the second side. So with an in breath, reach back to your heel. As you exhale, bring your knee to the chest. Step the foot between the hands and turn your feet turn the body to the other side. Inhale as you lengthen, and then as you exhale, interlace your hands behind the pelvis if comfortable. Otherwise, you can do the same variation you did on the other side. Keep reaching up and forward through the arms if you interlace your fingers, and use the weight of the arms to go deeper into the posture, to take the abdomen closer to the thighs, crown of the head reaching down, abdomen pulling in, the weight of the pelvis towards the front of the feet, toes active. Inhale, reaching all the way up through the spine, forward the chest, and exhale as you bend the other leg, keeping the whole sole of that foot on the ground, the other heel pressing down and the toes looking up. Relax the weight of your torso and head completely. Relax through the whole region of the pelvis. Doesn't matter how far down you go, but make sure there's no tension around the hips. Take your hands back to the front and step back to downward dog once again. Long spine, long neck. Bending the knees as you exhale. Inhale, pelvis up. Back to Thunderbolt with an inhalation. Exhale, Samastitihi. Let's move on to a balanced pose. It's not important how close the knee gets to the chest, but that the sit bones are even. The spine is straight. If you feel stable, you can relax the head, taking the forehead towards the knee, looking down to the floor, or you can keep looking straight ahead. With an exhalation, reach back through your heel and forward through the chest. The hands may be reaching forward. If you want, you can reach back to make the posture a bit easier. Back foot looking straight down. If you feel unstable, you can place a block underneath one of your hands. With an exhalation, step back and twist your spine around. The hand grabbing hold of the opposite foot, the back foot, and take that heel closer to your pelvis with each out breath. Another version without support from the hands, so it's a balanced pose as well. Same hand goes for the back foot, and now we're extending the back leg side of the body forward so both shoulders and both hips are even. With an exhalation, bring the pelvis back so the pelvis is right above the back knee. Extend through the front leg and use your out breath to relax the back leg. Have your toes pointing towards your knee, pulling back, and then slowly lower yourself into a version of Hanumanasana. If challenging, you can place a block underneath each one of your hands so you can still relax the pelvis and hold the weight of your body onto the arms. You can also place a block under the front leg side of the pelvis. Back to downward dog and onto the other side. On your next out breath, bend your knees, and with an in breath, extend the pelvis up, feet forward, lengthen your spine. Exhale and release. Inhale, reaching forward through the chest, out through the hands, shoulder blades down, eyes to the thumbs, and exhale, back to Anjali Mudra. Interlacing the fingers the other way, take hold of the other knee, taking it towards the chest, sit bones even, keep your chest open, and if you feel stable, relax the forehead towards your knee. You can otherwise keep looking straight. On an out breath, reach back through your heel and to the front through the chest. You can keep reaching back with the hands. You can keep one hand down on the ground onto a block, or do the full pose reaching forward as in a handstand. Back heel extending away from the crown of the head, foot looking down with an out breath release. Turning around in the other direction, taking the heel towards the hip, or doing the more advanced version, the balancing posture. The back heel moving towards the hip, that whole side of the body in fact moving forward, so both shoulders want to be at the same distance from the front of the mat. With an out breath, take your pelvis back, extend the front heel more forward, pulling the toes towards the knee, lengthening and releasing, opening the muscles and the connective tissues of the back of the front leg, and onto Hanumanasana, whichever version you're working in. The most important thing is to keep the sit bones level. The front leg side of the pelvis will tend to go forward, so you have to work on keeping it back. On an exhalation, release. And pulling the front heel back. Bringing your knees together. Press both hands into the floor and back to downward facing dog. 2 or 3 long breaths. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, jump your feet outside of your hands. Wide stand, feet parallel to each other. Knees wide enough that your torso can relax through them. Pelvis moving down, head moving towards the floor as well. If it's very uncomfortable, you can place a little bit of height underneath your heels. Roll a towel or a blanket. Allow the pelvis to be fully relaxed, to open under the weight of your torso. With an inhale, reach forward with the hands. Exhaling, pressing the arms out against the legs, the knees in against the arms, and use the pressure to create more length through the front of your torso. Chest bone reaching up towards your chin as the pubic bone releases down. With an out breath, place your hands behind your heels and receive the weight of your pelvis onto the floor. Tadasana, the star pose. Heels slightly to the front, away from the hips, a little bit wider than Baddha Konasana. Inhale, extend your chest bone forward, and as you exhale, take it all the way to the front, the elbows pulling back, so the chest remains open. Take one more inhalation, and as you exhale, relax. Doesn't matter how far down you go, but it is important there's no tension in this posture. You can use a pair of blocks under the elbows, underneath the forehead. You can use a pillow. Important thing is to connect to a sensation of melting and dissolving. Use your exhalation. Connect to your exhalation to do that. Allow gravity to pull you gradually down. Allow yourself to be sucked into the floor. Nice soft breath. Take a long inhalation to come up. With an out breath, one foot against the inside of the opposite thigh. Inhale, extend your chest bone and hands up, and reach forward through your chest towards the front big toe as you exhale. Relax. Keep extending forward through the spine with every in-breath you take. Shoulders away from each other, so you're pulling with your whole back, not only through the arms. Inhale, extending the chest bone forward. And bring your folded leg into the arms. You can take hold of the ankle with both hands. There's many ways in which you can hold your leg. Find the most comfortable for you, where you're making most contact between arms and leg. And then rock your leg sideways to bring about softness in the hip joint. Grab hold of your big toes. Let's move on to the bow and arrow pose. So take your big toe towards one ear, extend your chest bone up, and with an exhalation, release. Place your ankle over your thigh. If you feel that on your knee, just do the previous pose again, January Shasana. Otherwise, keep your ankle over the thigh as you fold forward over the other leg. Shoulders at the same height. It's not necessary to bind around the back and around the big toe. You can extend both hands forward. So remember, arms and legs variations are just variations. The essential happens mainly along the spine. With an exhalation, we twist. If it's uncomfortable to grab around the back to the foot, you can just press into the ground behind your pelvis. As for the front leg, you can hold from wherever you want, doesn't have to be the big toe. A more advanced version comes from turning in the opposite direction, using again both hands to turn the spine, but this time holding either from the shin bone or maybe the thigh. Don't force yourself into any posture. Remember, the most important thing is to maintain some degree of comfort, which should reflect back onto the ease of breath. So the breath long and steady. And then let's cross the legs. You can place your ankles underneath the opposite knee, or you can have one leg over the other one if it's comfortable. Any cross-leg position will do. Extend your spine, and with an exhalation, relax your torso over your thighs. Make sure there's no tension, any muscle of the back. Allow the weight of your body to open the hip joints. Inhaling, come back up. And Janu Sirsasana, opposite side. Foot against the thigh. Lengthen your spine, and with an exhalation, forward and over the leg. Shoulders at the same height, away from the neck. Use your in-breath to lengthen, your out-breath to release. Find the most stable combination of muscle activity, bone placement, and joints holding. Inhale, extend your spine forward as you lift your torso up. And let's continue with a deeper opening of the pelvis, using the arms to take the ankle towards the chest, rocking then the legs sideways to create softness around the hip. And if comfortable, we now place the ankle over the opposite thigh like we did on the other side. Grab hold of the big toes and keep your shoulder blades down. Keep extending your chest bone up as you take your big toe towards the ear. Take one more inhalation and exhaling, release. Take care you don't feel discomfort at all in your knees. If you do, the ankle doesn't have to be on the thigh, but you can place it just on the ground beside it. Same variation as on the other side. Again, check the shoulders are relaxed. Chest bone is able to extend forward so the shoulder blades are moving to the hips. Torso level, both sides same distance from the ground. Inhaling, extend back up, and exhaling, moving into the twist. Each in-breath, make sure the spine lengthens a bit more. Chest bone lifts up, each out-breath, shoulder blades down, twist a little bit more back from the center of your chest. If you want to experiment more intense stretch, then turn to the other side. In any of the two variations, use your arms, use the pulling from your hands to lengthen and twist around your axis. Exhale and release. Cross-leg position again. Half lotus, Sukhasana, one leg over the other one. Exhale and extend to the front, and then gradually release the weight of the body down. Make sure you have enough support underneath so you can relax fully. With your next in breath, chest bone forward and up. Take one leg behind. Make sure the front leg's toes are moving towards that knee. The foot flexed, outside of the foot pressing slightly into the ground. You can keep one hand on the floor as you reach up to the other one, or you can take that arm around your back so support comes only from the back. With an out breath, relax the torso forward and down. If this is too intense, you can place a block underneath the front leg side of your pelvis. Likewise, you can stay on your hands. You don't have to go all the way to the elbows. Inhale, walking your hands back. Moving into a back extension, you can keep your hands on the ground. That's already a back extension. You can reach back through one hand, keeping the other one on the floor, or you can reach back with both. If you've got hold of your ankle, pull your ankle back so the leg supports the weight of the torso. A more advanced version has the elbow wrap around the top of the foot. The front hand can stay resting on the ground, or you can go to the other one, or you can grab hold of the foot with both hands. Make sure your spine straight. Better to have the spine straight and not go for the more advanced version. Make sure your breath is soft, and as you exhale, turn to the other end of your mat, and let's do the same posture on the other side. So one hand can stay on the ground, the other arm up, or you can take your arm around your back. Try to keep your sit bones level, so the back leg side of the pelvis extending towards the front heel, releasing constantly in that direction. Let go of the weight of the body and allow the weight of the torso to take the back leg side of the pelvis further down towards the front ankle. Concentrate on your exhalation. You use your exhalation to create softness through your body, allowing it to surrender into gravity. As you bring your torso up, make sure to keep the pelvis down, especially the back leg side of the pelvis. Keep the abdomen engaged so there's no overdue pressure along the lower back. Same as on the other side, reach back with one or both hands, or wrap the inside of your elbow around the top of your foot. Any variation is fine. Move slowly and gradually from one onto the other, making sure you can keep a soft, nice breath, calm even mind through the postures. This is much more important than which version of the posture you might choose to do. Come out of the posture in your own time, just as gradually as you moved into it. And we now turn to the side, heels moving away from each other, the toes looking up, the sit bones pulling back. Inhale, extend your chest bone up, and as you exhale, move from the pelvis rotates so the spine remains straight. Think of moving forward rather than down. You can help extend forward by pulling from the feet, maybe from the ankles. You can also place your hands on the ground and use them to support. So choose the version that makes most sense to you, where you feel you can gain most length of your spine and most softness around the hips. Use your out breath to relax around the hips. Use your in breath to lengthen through your spine. Keep lengthening through the front of the body, and keep the breath very deep, very long, very soft. Feel free to use any props. With an in breath, keeping the spine straight, chest bone forward and up. Let's move to the balanced version of this posture. So gradually lifting the heels off the ground, balancing on the sit bones. The legs don't really need to be straight. What's important again is to keep the spine very long, the shoulder blades going down, neck long, chest bone lifting up. Establish a strong connection between the center of the heart and the highest point above you. Feel as though there's literally something connecting you, pulling you up. With an outward release, the next posture is optional. You can repeat the one we did previously. The tortoise pose is very intense. The extension of the legs pulls or pushes the torso right down. In this posture, the heels are not very wide, so the back of the knees are pushing right over the shoulders. And as in the previous pose, we would like the abdomen to reach all the way to the ground. Any pose you can move gradually into it, so you might come into it to some degree. Don't have to go all the way into it. There's really no end to any pose. But just play around, experiment, see what happens, but don't force. Purvottanasana, we press the hands down, big toes together and the toes moving towards the floor. Extend the pelvis and chest bone all the way up and all the way forward. Keep your breath long, keep your face relaxed. Exhale as you release, pelvis to the floor. Inhale, lifting up from the chest. And as you exhale, reach forward through the big toes. Ankles together. You can grab hold of your legs wherever is comfortable to. Big toes, ankles, around the soles of your feet. Chair posture makes most sense for you. With your in-breath, keep reaching forward towards the toes from the chest. And use your out-breath to create softness and relaxation throughout the body. There's some minimal action in lengthening the spine, but use only those muscles directly involved. The rest of the body is relaxed. Inhale, reaching forward through the chest. And exhale, bend at the knees. Keep your knees pressing one firmly against the other. Push down onto the floor through your fingertips or through the palms. You don't have to extend the legs fully. The important thing is the chest bone reaching up. Keep your elbows pulling back and towards each other. And make sure you place your legs in such a manner that is the abdomen lifting them. Relax the legs, push down through the hands, shoulders back and down, the chest bone towards the chin. And exhale and release. Again, Navasana. Legs can be semi-flex, chest bone up. Engage your abdomen. Really pull that belly in and use that action to keep the legs up. Exhale, release, and inhale again, pushing down through the hands, lifting maybe the sit bones, maybe the heels, but it doesn't really matter if they leave the floor. It's just the action that matters, pushing down through the hands, lifting the chest bone up. One more time, Navasana. Big toes together, knees pressing one firmly into the other. You can now extend your hands forward if you wish, without support of the hands. A little bit more intense for the abdomen. Exhale in, relax. Inhale, pushing through your hands, lift. Use your abdomen to pull the pelvis. Use your abdomen to take your knees towards the chest. And then release. Extend the heels forward. Let's relax towards the ground, extending your hands towards the toes, lowering, taking the lower back on the ground. Once the lower back's on the floor, you can lift your heels a little bit. Feel the engagement of your abdomen. Keep the abdomen engaged through the next postures to give support to your lower back. Let's relax for 3 long breaths before moving on to Dhanurasana, Purva Dhanurasana. So the bow pose, we have the ankles close to the sit bones, the feet parallel to each other, and feel as though you're squeezing an orange between the knees. So one knee moving towards the other one, maintaining the activation in the abdomen, tailbone extending to the front. Interlace your fingers and push your elbows down. Use the arms so your chest bone moves towards your chin. Keep pressing firmly against the floor with the feet. lifting the pelvis up, and with an exhalation, bring your torso down one vertebra at a time. Second variation, you can grab hold of your ankles. You can interlace your fingers if it's uncomfortable. Knees towards each other, press the big toes into the ground. 3 to 5 breaths. Release with an exhalation. Next variation, place the hands underneath the shoulders. You can keep the head on the floor, or you can keep going and push further down, lifting it off the ground. Keep the feet parallel to each other and pressing firmly against the floor. Abdomen in, belly in towards the spine every time you exhale. Time you inhale, chest one reaching back. The head relax, the neck relax. With an exhalation, allow your back to come back to the floor. And as a counter pose, let's bring the knees to the chest. Arms around the legs. Not really pulling, but allowing gravity to pull the weight of each part of the body down. So gradually we'd like the back of the pelvis, the sit bone, the shoulders, and all of the spine to be resting on the floor. Bring your knees over your head, the pelvis up. Walk your elbows towards each other. And walk your hands down your back towards the shoulder blades. You can keep your hands there, or you can interlace your fingers and extend your hands forward away from your heels. Extend your legs, placing the tips of the toes on the ground. Press your arms down to extend the pelvis up, gaining maximum length of the spine, maximum length of the legs. One more long inhalation there. If it's comfortable, bring one at a time your legs up into the shoulder stand. It's important the weight is on the elbows and the shoulders, and the neck's completely relaxed. No pressure at all around the neck. There's a line connecting the shoulders, the pelvis, and the heels, so the heels shouldn't be right above the face. With an exhalation, let's relax the weight of the legs, taking the knees in the direction of the ground towards the ears. Doesn't matter how far down they go, but relaxing completely. The hands can stay interlaced on the ground. You can keep them pressing against the lower back, or you can take them around the back of your knees. That helps the knees to move further down. Any variation is fine, just choose the one that feels best. And let's gradually uncurl the spine, consciously bringing each vertebra in contact with the ground again. Allow the hips to rest on the floor. Bring your feet back down. Fold one leg, knee to the chest. Keep your shoulders down. And gradually extend the heel up. As the heel goes up, the sit bone goes down. We don't want the pelvis to lift. We want the pelvis to stay as if nothing was going on, as if the leg wasn't moving at all. So we want to make the movement of the leg independent to that of the pelvis. So as the leg goes to the side, we try not to let the pelvis and the torso follow it. Inhaling, the leg comes back up. With an out breath, take it across to the other side, wrapping one leg over the other one, knees to one side, eyes in the opposite direction. No effort, no pulling, no pushing, just gravity pulling the knees and the shoulders down. Allow yourself to rest in that effortless space. And then bring your ankle over the thigh. And just like before, using gravity more than effort, the knee and the ankle come closer to the breastbone. Try to keep your shoulders down, the sacrum on the floor. And let's move on to the other side. Knee to the chest. Heel up, sit bone down. the back of the non-extending leg, the ones that's on the ground, try to keep it fully on the floor. Leg to the side, the pelvis keeps looking straight up, doesn't turn with the leg. Use your abdomen to keep your pelvis in place. And inhale, extending the leg back up. Exhale, taking it a little bit to the side, keeping the seat bone on the ground to stretch the side of that leg, and then grab one leg over the other one. Just as before, the knees to one side. Relax your head to the opposite one. And let every part of the body be soft. Inhaling, bringing the pelvis back onto the ground, ankle to the thigh, knee to the chest. Focus on your exhalation and keep your attention on the out breath. We now let the body rest completely for a few minutes. It's up to you how long. Make sure with each exhalation you let the weight of the body sink further into the ground. No movement, no activity anywhere. Just observe. Pay attention to any sensation, all the effects of everything we did for an hour. Feel free to come up in your own time. Let your body tell you how long you need to rest there. When you do come up, turn to the side first, using as little movements as possible, and keep very conscious of every move you make. Once you finish Shavasana, you can sit for a few minutes, allowing the same state of mind to prevail during your sitting, the same position of the spine, the same kind of effortlessness. And it is the sensation that we want to keep even after our practice, throughout our working day. Same position of the spine whenever we're sitting, standing, or walking. Thank you very much. Namaste.